Welcome to this week's terrifying tale. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the story, if you dare. And if you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe for more spine-chilling videos every week. Now, here's a little joke to get you in the mood. Why don't skinwalkers ever tell secrets? Because they always leave you hanging. The House of Lost Souls. At just 14 years old, Lucas had already known more loss than most. After a car accident stole his parents, he became another face in the foster care system, passed around, never truly wanted. Just when he'd begun to believe that no one would ever come for him, the Wilsons appeared. They seemed perfect. Mr. Wilson was tall, kind-eyed, and soft-spoken. Mrs. Wilson was warm and motherly, always touching his shoulder gently and calling him sweet boy. They told him they had a beautiful house in the countryside, a place where he could have his own room, his own space, a real family. Desperate for love, Lucas didn't hesitate. The house was large and elegant, perched on a lonely hill surrounded by thick woods. It looked like something from an old painting, grand but fading. Inside, the furniture was spotless. The air smelled of lavender and wood polish, and every room was too quiet. That first night, Lucas heard whispers through the floorboards. He sat up in bed, straining to listen. It sounded like someone crying softly underneath him. He mentioned it the next morning, but Mrs. Wilson just smiled, saying, "Old houses creak and moan sometimes. You'll get used to it, darling." But he didn't. Over the next few weeks, Lucas noticed things that didn't make sense. The Wilsons never let him go outside alone. They watched him closely, finishing his sentences before he could. One night, he found a strange box hidden under his bed. Inside were broken toys, a cracked photo of a boy who wasn't him, and a small rusted key. The key fit the door at the end of the upstairs hallway, the one they always kept locked. When the Wilsons were out running errands, Lucas opened it. The room beyond was small, cold, and completely bare, except for a single wooden chair facing a wall-sized mirror. But the moment he looked into the glass, his heart nearly stopped. The reflection wasn't right. A boy stood there, but it wasn't Lucas. This boy had hollow eyes, gray skin, and a smile that didn't belong on any living face. Lucas stumbled back. Just as he turned to run, a hand gripped his shoulder. It was Mr. Wilson. Behind him, Mrs. Wilson stood, expression unreadable. "Curiosity," Mr. Wilson said slowly, "is the beginning of change." That night, they sat Lucas down and told him everything, calmly, coldly. The truth was, he wasn't their first. They had taken in many children over the years. They didn't adopt to care. They adopted to feed something older than them, something buried in the house. "We preserve the soul by breaking the mind," Mrs. Wilson said sweetly. The room with the mirror? It wasn't just a room. It was a prison for the children who didn't escape their grasp. The reflections weren't just tricks of the mind. They were what was left behind. Lucas wanted to scream, but he couldn't find his voice. The house began to change after that. Shadows moved in unnatural ways. The walls whispered to him at night. His reflection no longer followed his movements. He heard voices in his head, telling him things, dark things. The Wilsons watched him, always smiling, always waiting. He knew he had to get out. One stormy night, when the Wilsons were asleep, Lucas pried open the window in his room and climbed down the side of the house. Rain soaked him to the bone as he ran through the woods, branches slashing his skin. He didn't look back. He couldn't look back. Eventually, he stumbled onto a road and flagged down a car. A kind woman drove him to the nearest police station. He told them everything: the Wilsons, the house, the room with the mirror. Officers went to investigate, but when they arrived, the house was empty, spotless. No signs of other children, no signs of the Wilsons, no signs he'd ever been there. They told Lucas it was trauma, delusions, that he was safe now. But Lucas knew better. He tried to move on. A new home, a new name. But nothing changed what had been done to him. He couldn't sleep without hearing whispers. Couldn't look in mirrors without seeing something else looking back. He became withdrawn, paranoid. The darkness had followed him. One night, alone in the bathroom, he stared into the mirror, tears falling silently. At first, he saw only himself, but slowly, that other face returned, pale, grinning, familiar. "You're one of us now," it whispered. Lucas didn't scream. He just laughed. For this next story, Skinwalker, just a friendly reminder, make sure your girlfriend is actually a human. Ethan learns the hard way that sometimes the person you trust the most might not be who they seem, and not all love stories have a happy ending. Ethan had always been a quiet guy, never one to seek out attention. So when Amanda walked into his life, it felt like a dream. They met one night at a local bar where he was nursing a drink alone. Her bright smile, her voice that seemed to call to him in a way no one else's could, instantly drew him in. She was perfect, beautiful, kind, and she made him feel special. They quickly became inseparable, and soon, Amanda moved in with him. But as they spent more time together, Ethan noticed something strange. Occasionally, when he'd wake up in the middle of the night, he'd find Amanda standing at the foot of their bed, staring blankly at him. Her eyes were wide, unblinking, as if something deep inside her was off. But each time, when he asked about it, she would smile and brush it off, claiming she was just sleepwalking. He wanted to believe her, but something gnawed at the back of his mind. Things grew increasingly strange over time. Amanda insisted on taking long walks alone in the nearby woods, something Ethan never liked. It felt wrong, unnatural. One evening, she came home covered in dirt, her clothes torn, as though she had been running through the underbrush. Her eyes were wide, bloodshot. When Ethan asked what had happened, she smiled. But it wasn't the warm, loving smile he was used to. It was thin, almost predatory. "I'm fine," she whispered, her voice low, almost too soft. Despite his discomfort, Ethan let it slide. Maybe she was stressed. But deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling that Amanda was hiding something that wasn't human. A few weeks later, the strange events escalated. One night, Amanda didn't come home. Ethan waited, growing anxious, pacing the house. When she finally returned just after dawn, her face was covered in scratches, her hair matted with dirt. But her eyes had changed. They were no longer the soft brown eyes he loved. They were dark, hollow, as though they had seen too much. I went for a walk," she said, her voice far too calm, too even. "I just needed some space." Ethan didn't believe her, but when he confronted her, she grew defensive, her hands shaking as she gripped his arm. "I'm fine, Ethan. I'm just fine." But he could tell. Something was horribly wrong. Unable to shake his suspicions, Ethan decided to follow her the next time she went into the woods. He waited for hours, hiding in the shadows, until he finally saw her. She was walking briskly, her eyes glazed over, heading straight toward the dark heart of the forest. Ethan followed from a distance, holding his breath as he crept deeper into the woods. Suddenly, Amanda stopped and turned around. Her smile was gone, replaced by a twisted, malicious grin. Her fingers curled unnaturally, the bones cracking as if they were made of brittle wood. And then Ethan saw it. A figure, tall, impossibly thin, standing behind her. Amanda's skin stretched tight over her bones and her face. It wasn't Amanda's face at all. It was a grotesque mockery of her, with sharp, elongated features and eyes black as midnight. Before he could move, Amanda, or whatever it was that wore her skin, tilted its head back and let out a chilling howl, an inhuman sound that sent terror crashing through Ethan's chest. Ethan's legs moved before he could think. He ran. His heart thudded in his chest as the sound of heavy footsteps echoed behind him, growing louder. Branches whipped at his face as he sprinted through the trees, but he didn't dare look back. The woods seemed to close in around him, every shadow a threat, every rustling a predator waiting to pounce. Suddenly, he tripped over a root and fell, his body hitting the ground with a sickening thud. He scrambled to get up, but before he could, the thing was there, standing above him. It was Amanda, but it wasn't. The creature loomed over him, its arms unnaturally long, fingers like claws. Its face was now a nightmare. Half of it still held Amanda's features, but the other half was twisted beyond recognition. A hideous grin stretched across its mouth. Its breath was foul, like decaying meat. "You shouldn't have followed me, Ethan," it whispered in a voice that sounded both like Amanda and something far older, far darker. Ethan screamed, trying to push the creature off of him, but it was too strong. It hissed, the sound vibrating through the air like the rattle of a snake. Its eyes gleamed with malevolent hunger, and as it leaned closer, Ethan could see the truth. The thing wearing Amanda's skin was not her at all. It was a Skinwalker, a creature of ancient evil that wore the flesh of its victims to take their lives. In one swift motion, the creature dug its claws into his chest, tearing through his ribs with ease. Ethan's screams echoed through the trees as the thing feasted on his life. Blood poured from his body, staining the ground beneath him, but he couldn't move, couldn't fight back. The last thing he saw before his vision faded was the creature's twisted grin as it whispered, "You're mine now." By dawn, there was no trace of Ethan left in the woods. Only the smell of blood and decay lingered in the air, a warning to anyone who might venture too close. Thanks for watching this week's story. If you enjoyed the chills, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a new fright. And remember, if you can't sleep tonight, just hope it's not because a Skinwalker's wearing your sheets. You never know who's really lying next to you.